Welcome back to the Turn the Music podcast. This is episode 27. I don't know why I just looked because I just said it was 27 before we started. We're talking about measure 12 of the Spirit of Music, and we've got CJ here to talk about it. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. I'm getting through the week,
That's good.
I think.
You don't sound sure.
I'm not sure yet.
You definitely didn't sound sure.
Like it was the week started and I'm very confused about what's going on.
Oh, yeah?
That's because last Thursday, I thought it was Friday.
Oh,
and
that's right. I forgot about that.
So I work started on Monday this week. We're recording on a Wednesday, and I don't know if it's really Wednesday or not in my head. So I can't process. So, tomorrow should be a interesting in a good way day. Like it shouldn't be a bad day. Like it should be good. Nice day. Like there's a lot to do, but good people that I'm doing it with. So it should
That's
be a good
good.
day. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. How about yourself?
Moving right along, let's get to the book.
Good. That's fantastic.
So I walked out of work today and realized how close to a nervous breakdown I actually am. Yeah, I felt it. I was like, wow, I'm really close.
Because of work?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, it's, yeah.
That is
I had someone
good.
Yesterday or today, I don't even know what day it was. I was in the middle of a meeting, had giant headphones on, was in the middle of a sentence, and someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, "The wheel on my chair is broken. Can you get me a new wheel?" I was like, meeting? Hello? Like, would you do this to any other person in the office?
Wow. Like you were on a Zoom meeting?
Yeah,
wow.
And I'm not even the facilities person. Like, you had to walk by the facilities person to get to me. Like, what's the deal? And it's been like that. It's just been dumb people just doing dumb stuff all day long.
So as we've spoken, like I've been listening to an audiobook like on and on and on. And I finally finished the second book. I'm going into the third one. And one of the main characters is an AI, a snarky AI. And it's pretty freaking hysterical. And he calls all humans monkeys because he doesn't think we're any smarter than them because that's where we evolved from.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so there's a line that one of the human character says. He goes, "Idiots are smart because they'll keep trying to do things until it breaks." Yep. It was just the line. I'm sitting here going like, that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
And you sit here and you're like, yeah. Those ignorant people will do whatever they can until it breaks.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, well, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't break it. And it's just like, yeah. I get that. There's a lot of things that I'll be at my desk and people will come over and ask me. And part of the reason why is because the people they should be asking are not always the most receptive.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll come to me first. And if I have the answer, fantastic. If not, then they have to go there. But and that's probably what you're getting to, is that you're probably nicer than most. And they're like, okay, I'm going to bother him even though I'm bothered.
Yep. So
You listen to any good music?
Actually, you know what? I should have brought it up and I forgot. Let me pull it up real quick. Are you gonna be able to hear this? Yes, you should be able to hear this.
That's all right. Even if you don't, they don't have to see me.
I'm spelling it wrong, I think. What in the world was that?
What you're spelling? What in the world was your spelling?
No, I guess I hit delete too many times and it made like that Windows like stop hitting delete button.
Ding 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 ding.
So yeah, I'll play a little bit of this for you, and I'll tell you what it is afterwards. And I want to see if you got the same vibe that I got.
Okay, cool.
Theo, kick that drum. Stop. Let's just amp it up. Come on.
Any particular artist that reminds you of? Not
Jackson
necessarily
5.
the vocals, but
Jackson 5.
okay. Not what I was going for, but okay.
What were you going for?
I got a strong, like from the instrumentals, strong Billy Joel vibe.
With
Not
the
from the
horn-
vocals, obviously.
With the horns.
Yeah.
No, there was a
And the
Billy Joel vibe there,
drums.
but then as they came in and sang on top of
Yes.
that, I got a Jackson vibe.
Yeah, I definitely hear that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
this
could
is
totally-
Wolfpack. So Corey Wong plays with Wolfpack.
Okay.
So
So
I've
you've
been meaning
mentioned
to
them
check them
before.
out for a long time. So
Yeah.
But
No, it's
yeah,
a
I've
cool
been-
vibe though.
yeah, it's a good album. I didn't get to the whole thing this week, but
I'm assuming it's a live one because you're listening
yes, yes.
to it.
And I was wondering if like maybe the Billy Joel vibe came from the fact that it's at Madison Square Garden, and I could just hear the Madison Square Garden-ness of it. I don't know.
Well, how old is the group? Is it a young group?
It's a fairly young group. This
Maybe
came out in
they're
2019.
Maybe they're influenced by him.
Could be, yeah.
I mean, he's what, decades of music,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and he's like a Jimmy Buffett, like he's generational. It's just every generation knows his
Yep.
music,
For sure.
you know. So, it's
think
interesting,
this is
but
the one I
I
wanted
could
to
also
play.
understand that too. I can understand how you're listening to it in a venue which has become like a home for Billy
Right.
Joel.
And I've
Yeah.
listened to a lot of Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden, so I'm wondering if I'm hearing that room noise.
No, because I didn't know it was Madison Square Garden, and when the horns came in, I kind of felt like it was the beginning of like a Billy Joel song, and it wasn't until the singers came in
Okay,
that I got the Jackson vibe. Like the two like kind of melded together.
gotcha. I'm gonna play a little
'Cause
bit of this
he's-
one too. Just
Billy
and
Joel
then-
is pretty
sorry. Hang on. Okay, good. Sorry.
no.
hit a
Billy
button.
Joel's pretty diverse in his composition.
Yeah,
I like his his albums almost have a theme to them when it comes to the music.
yes. For
And
sure.
I think that's why you can connect him to almost every type of feel,
Mm.
you know? Like his what is it? The which album has Lullaby on it? And I can't remember off the top of my head. You know what I'm
River of
talking about.
Dreams.
Huh?
River of Dreams.
River of Dreams. And that whole thing has like a gospel feel to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's every song. Even
Yeah.
Lullaby has that little bit of a
Mm-hmm.
gospel feel to it,
Yep.
you know? So I can see that. You have another song?
Yeah, one more. I'm gonna play one more. I'm gonna jump to the maybe around.
He's not a duck on the dirt, isn't he?
I don't think this is the song I want to play.
Hmm?
I don't think this is the song I wanted to play. What was the name of the song?
But that one there had a little bit more of a Billy Joel vibe. The other one.
Yeah, but I like as I listened to it, I was like, oh, this is kind of got Billy Joel vibes. Like it's kind of cool.
No, yeah, totally. You know, it's really funny how iconic Billy Joel is, even though like he's not spoken about as regularly as you think he would be.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one really talk about him, but then you put a Billy Joel song, everybody knows the song.
Right.
And I don't know if you watched the show The Boys on Amazon Prime.
Mhm.
There's a lot of episodes that have a lot of like Billy Joel related stuff in it.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just interesting how he's become such an iconic person, and yet he's not iconic in such a sense where like you don't sit down and talk about him,
Yes.
you know.
Sorry, I'm still looking for this other song.
No, it's okay. Take your time.
Is it? Nope. Or is it?
I don't know because I'm not there. As we wait, and as you guys just hear random stuff going on in the background with the music,
Well,
and those
people
that
on
are watching
YouTube will.
us,
The people on the podcast will not hear any of this.
so for the silence that's going on this podcast, we thank you for listening, and we'll be right back after these minutes. I think we're both a little overtired this week.
Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Pocket, put it in my pocket, in my back pocket, put it in my pocket, in my pocket, in my back pocket. Whoa, that's good, yeah, yeah. Put it in my pocket, put it in my pocket, in my back pocket, put it in my pocket, in my pocket, in my back pocket, and I'll read it when I'm alone. Now listen to me, yeah, here we go. Do you like me to go yes or no on this piece of paper? Cause I really, really would love to know. Are you gonna be my fifth grade queen?
Are you gonna be?
Hand it back to me in the second and then it knows. And I know if you're gonna be my special fly. Oh, girl, cause I need to know this time. I ain't well, put it in my bucket, put it in my bucket, in my back pocket, put it in my bucket, in my bucket, in my back pocket. Whoa, just MSG one more time.
So they have the audience singing in 3 parts with them. And didn't hit pause. But I totally get a Jackson vibe from that.
Oh yeah, totally.
Totally.
And that's all a cappella, I'm assuming.
Yes.
How many people in the group?
I think 5, but they have a couple like guests come on during the show.
Okay, but like
I think it's
the
5.
group is 5.
I think it's pretty sure it's 5.
It sounds like there's about 4 or 5 people there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was cool.
I want to see.
And it was like
if I can
it's
pull this
crazy
one
that the
thing
whole audience was doing the song too, because you could hear that.
And I'm gonna see if I can pull this up too. That and that.
For those listening and not watching, Kyle is currently. I'm giving them a play-by-play.
Oh, play. Okay.
So you don't have to edit out like the silence. You can just.
I
let it
don't
go.
know if this is going to work, but we'll try this.
At this time, I'm watching Kyle look for music on his computer. That's what you can't see at the moment. For you on YouTube, just watch what he's doing.
Yeah. So let's see if this works. Oh, wait, hang on. I have to unmute it in. Oh.
Hard work and dedication put to the test. Every single night I got to sweat.
So I'll clean it up in post, but that is Victor Wooten and the Wooten Brothers' new song called "Sweat," which is
I haven't listened to it yet.
So it's not out yet. That's just the snippet they released on
Right, it comes out
Instagram. So
Friday.
This
was on Instagram. There was a little thing on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it was, or
Yep.
X or whatever they're called now.
So
yes,
sounds good. I'm
excited about it.
So
I want to know if they're going to play it on October 7th.
Yes. The post says that they're doing it October 7th. It's the Sweat Tour, and the song is called "Sweat."
Nice.
So
I wonder if a new album's going to be coming out.
I would think that it is.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I'm getting very excited about this concert.
Yeah, it's going to be a good concert.
Yeah, the last one I was at was Big Bad Voodoo Daddies, and I'm not saying that wasn't good, but I'm excited about Victor Wooten.
Yeah.
All right. That being said,
Shall we get to
transition into the book written by the aforementioned artist, Victor Wooten? You like that aforementioned?
Yes.
It's a good word.
I like 5 mentioned better, but
I'm glad that I had the dictionary up in front of me for me to. So we are continuing our journey through this book, The Spirit of Music, written by Victor L. Wooten. We are now on the measure 12, which is chapter 12 of the book. And it is called Prepare. And I'm going to spell it out for those who, because we're not showing it on video here. So it's PRE-PAIR. So pre and the word pear as in like a pear of fruit.
not a pair of pears. Well, I guess a pair of pears, but
a pair. I was thinking of the song "Low Hanging Fruit" by Tenacious D. That's where I got Prepare.
Oh God.
And I'm gonna let you summarize this one.
Okay. Um, let me get to where I have my first highlights so I know how far to go. Wow, it's a long way.
Yeah.
Still going. All right, cool. So, so when we last left off, I don't know if they said everyone went to bed, but they all went to sleep, which is what you do at night. And wow, where did I go? I don't even know where I am anymore.
Well, essentially, so he got slapped
Yes,
in
he
his
got
first
slapped.
lesson.
Yep. And then so everyone goes to bed and they wake up the next morning. Sifu would around 6 o'clock says, "Hey, it's time to get up." And they were to start their lesson in 30 minutes. So Victor jumps up, he gets dressed, he runs to the kitchen to get a drink of orange juice, which is his drink du jour, actually drink of choice. It's his drink every day. So,
Drink, drink du jour.
yeah, I know, it was bad phrasing there.
What?
Bad phrasing. So
Excuse me. What's the soup of the day?
orange
No, what
juice,
is it? No, that was a. I totally
the
ruined that line
soup
from the
du
movie.
jour.
No, forget it. Oh, I ruined it. Continue.
So anyway, he goes, gets his orange juice, comes back, brushes his teeth, and then meets Sifu in the living room. Sifu was sitting in Michael's chair, so Victor kind of assumed that a lesson was on its way. And sure enough, it was. They talked a little bit about stuff in life and made some Matrix references, and um, they talked a little bit about Sifu's fighting stance, and he was kind of sitting laid back in the chair, and Victor joked around and says, "Show me your fighting stance," and he said, "Well, this is my fighting stance," and he said, "Oh, that's not a fighting stance," and he said, Sifu responded by saying, "Do you think that I'm going to show my enemies that I'm ready to fight?" Um, so anyway, they go through that little thing, and blah, 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 blah. Where do I want to go from there? Oh, so they do this little phone book thing where he makes Victor hit. He puts a phone book in front of his chest. Victor hits the phone book, and then Sifu then does the same thing back to Victor, but he does the whole like 1 inch punch thing, and knocks Victor across the room. And after all of this, Victor realizes that when he thought the living room was empty with just him and Sifu, he actually fell onto a table where Seiko was hiding. And then Ali pops out behind the couch and realizes that Michael's sitting up on top of a bookcase. Uncle Clyde was next to a light or something,
It was
and I
by his
forget where.
base in the corner.
Yeah, and I forget where Isis was, but Isis stuck up behind him.
Yeah.
So what essentially happened was he thought the room was completely empty, and then realized that all of these people were here. And the whole point behind the thing is that we go through life um, in a daze, especially when you're in familiar surroundings. So he was at home, but didn't realize that these people were, for the most part, in plain sight. In fact, he said when he walked to get his orange juice, the couch doesn't sit up against the wall; it's kind of in the middle of the floor. So he actually walked right by Ollie when he went to get his orange juice and didn't realize he was there. Walked right by Michael, who was sitting up on top of the thing, and Uncle Clyde was so close that he could have grabbed him. So and that always made me think, like, I don't know if you've done this. So I was thinking about this while reading this. When I started my current job, I know when I walked into the office for the first time, like I remember looking at it, and like my perception of the way the office has changed, even though nothing has moved, but like the way I've perceived the office has changed drastically just by
Okay.
being there more often. I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it
like
makes
I got
sense.
a certain vibe, but the more I've been there, it's like a different feel now and a different look, even though nothing's changed.
No, I understand that. Because when I walk into, I'll walk into a restaurant and I look everywhere
Mm-hmm.
just to know everything that's going on around me. And it's I don't know. I think it comes a little bit from my grandfather, who whenever we went out to a restaurant, he would not sit with his back to anybody in the restaurant. Like if we had a table, it had to be on the side, and if he was sitting at the table, he had to sit on the side closest to the wall so he can have full view of everything
Mm-hmm.
around him.
Yep.
He was in the war, so it could totally be like
Yeah.
a post-traumatic thing from the war and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because that's what this is. It's you get so used to your surroundings that you don't see the
Right.
things that are going on. And it made me think about how when I was doing graphic design work, or I still do periodically, I purposely make sure people look at what I do a couple of times because
Mm-hmm.
as someone who's sitting in front of it, whether you're writing, whether you're composing, whether you're editing, whatever you're doing, you're seeing it so often, it's almost you're becoming numb to whatever changes may be there, and you may
Yep.
miss something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what they state is that we start missing things because, I mean, I think about it when I get in the car. I get in the car, I drive down the street, I get on the highway, I go to work, boom.
Yep.
Like you start not paying attention to the things around you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You do.
There have been times I've gotten to work and I'm like, how did I do this?"
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep.
so
Yep.
it,
For
it's
sure.
it's it's interesting, and the words that they use, um, you're blind, not deaf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
because he did hear at one point he did hear Seiko laugh,
right,
but just kind of assumed that she was like in another room or whatever.
right, right,
So
yeah. So it's interesting.
yep.
And
And
then
what's
moving,
interesting, so just to
yeah,
kind of talk about the whole, knowing your surroundings. I remember like when I was shooting weddings, one of the things that I would do a lot. Um, so I used to be a left eye shooter, so my camera was in front of my left eye. Um, and the last wedding I shot, whose wedding was it? I don't remember who it was, but I switched to my right eye because my left eye was giving me problems and I couldn't see very well. Um, and what I noticed was when I had it in my right eye, because I tried to do this with my other left eyes, as you're shooting a reception or even the ceremony itself, like my other eye is constantly scanning for other things to take pictures of. But when
right,
you're shooting this way, like the camera's like blocking your eye. But when I moved over here, like now I had like more vision, so
right,
I could
right,
really see
right,
what's going on. And that's just one of the things. Like I was always looking for like what's happening next, or where do I have to go next, or
right,
if I'm sneaking around a ceremony, am I going to step on someone? Is there something in the way that's going to make
right.
noise? I'm always trying to figure out what that is. So you're just trying to always be aware, but I don't do it all the time. I probably should. So
What you mean in the sense of like
just always
just
being
in
aware of
yeah,
of my surroundings, and I work with I work with the government. I work with a lot of security people, and when we go
right,
out to lunch, it's fun to watch the security people try to get to the point where they have a vantage point of the door and the window and everyone coming in and getting all the like watching them fight over those spots to like try and get the good vantage point is really funny because
but
I don't really care.
I don't know where that comes from with me, but that's what I
Hmm.
do.
Yeah.
Like if I've ever gotten to a restaurant where I'm like, which side do you want to sit on? And my back is to everybody, I get a little like
Hmm.
anxiety from not being able to see everything.
Right.
Um,
I picked the
and
wall because I like to lean on it.
I mean, even when I'm in if I go into the city, which is a very, very, very rare occasion, I
Hmm.
tend to walk in the back of whatever crowd I'm with
Right.
because it's more of my way of being able to keep an eye of what's going on in front
Hmm.
of me.
Yep.
You know, so but it is true though. In your own home, though, like I could walk around the house with it being pitch black.
Hmm.
Because you get so used to those turns and whatever.
Right.
It's a little hard now with a puppy, but
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Got to shuffle the feet so you don't step on them.
step
So,
on them. Yeah.
but after all this, Victor kind of feels bad about it because Michael was saying like this is something that like this is important for what we're about to do. You need to be more aware. Like if what if a phaser had jumped up behind you, and that's kind of how ISIS kind of snuck up on Victor, where it was kind of weird. So he apologizes, and Michael, Sifu finally says, making mistakes is okay. Embrace it, accept it, and learn from it. Repeat that enough times, and like my punch, you will no longer have to pull back at all. And that is a hard thing for me, is trying to accept those mistakes. But I know that I need to, but I have a hard time doing it.
We don't accept our own, but we accept others.
Right.
Like and that for me, same thing for me. It's probably not until with the past few years where I've kind of started coming out of it. I was like, okay, I made a mistake. I still am a little bit hard on myself, but I'm
Mhm.
trying to like, okay, you know what? I can fix it and it's fine. I can move
Yep.
forward. I can learn from this. But I used to tell people, don't, you know what? So what?
Mhm.
It happens. You'll be fine.
Yep.
It just you'll learn from it. But like I
Exactly.
would walk away from the ballot and I would make a mistake like, I can't believe I did this. Oh my, you know, like because that we didn't read the sub like the tagline to this one was never underestimate the power of doing something wrong.
Right.
But it's true. I mean,
Mhm.
like even with tech stuff, there's a lot of times before I even call you or text you, uh, there's a lot of times I'm putting things and doing things and trying things, and I try everything that I think I could do. And if I can't get to it, then that's usually when I reach out to you and say, "Hey, I've done this,
Mhm.
this, and this," and you should either tell me what I've missed or you just call me an idiot. But that's okay.
Right.
But it's true. Like y- the, that's trial and error.
Mhm.
That's really and I agree. It's a tough thing to, you know,
Yep.
it's a tough thing to do.
Yep. And then Michael says a little bit further later, when they were talking about, that he didn't see everything, he said, "Yes, you can see, but you choose not to. You chose not to. Sorry. You did. Sorry. Let me try this again. Words are hard. Yes, you can see, but you chose not to. You did not use your awareness. Even without paying attention, you should have noticed us, because they were all basically in plain sight and just,
Right.
um, and then later on it says, you are focusing your energy in the wrong direction. Turn your attention towards gratitude. Be thankful for the lesson and make a point to be better from now on. So he was trying to, because Victor was still feeling bad about, messing up, and then they get into this whole gratitude thing, which I think they talk about, thanking his base again. Um, if I've jumped over you, let me know.
No, no, you're fine. You're good.
Okay.
Go.
Sorry.
Because I think
Over here.
this is more of the heart of this
Yeah.
chapter is what you're getting into.
Yeah. Let me just go back a little bit so I can lead into this. Oh no, come on, Kindle. I've
Oh
highlighted
no,
a big
charge it.
portion and I have a hard time turning the page back. There we go. Um so um let's see, it was Michael again who says this. When you honestly thank someone or something, you inadvertently or purposely give a part of yourself to that person or thing. The more you do it, the stronger and more permanent the bond becomes. Think about it. A team is always stronger than the individual players. So even before you play, pair up, pair with your instrument, pair with your audience, pair with music. Do it before you start a task. In other words, the best way to prepare is to prepare. And that's the title of the chapter. And then Victor tells him about the story about his bass. So when Michael had mentioned in the first book to thank his bass, Victor spent 30 minutes of time just to thank his bass, and he said that it kind of leapt up onto his shoulder and it felt lighter. And it said that Michael said, Victor, your bass had been waiting years for you to recognize it. That is why it jumped on your shoulder as soon as you reached for it. It was out of gratitude, which is kind of neat, just to. And it's something that I do. We've talked about it. I thank my instruments. I've a friend of mine, her son was in a car accident recently, and I drove her to the scene of the crime. The scene of the crime.
Wow. Is your son okay?
Well, yeah, it was fine. It was a very minor accident, but like when I got back, like I thanked my car for being able to do that. And I
Right.
find myself doing that more often. Like, thank you for getting me to this place and that place. So it's kind of weird, but I do it. So, um,
Everybody talks to a car. No, that's just true. I talk to my car all the time,
yeah.
especially when it's on empty, and I'm like, "Don't worry, I'm gonna feed you. Just let me get there."
And then this is the next thing I want to talk about. This is something that Michael said, and it was a thing that they had done. He said, "I want you all to thank each other right now. Say it out loud if you feel it." And back when I was in high school, I've talked a lot about my choir director. This is something we did every year. Right before we went out for Christmas break, and then the very last rehearsal that we had for the year, we would sit in a giant circle and we would thank each other for something that we had done throughout the year, whether it was just being there or helping out with rehearsals or whatever it was. And we all took turns thanking each other in a giant circle for a couple hours, and that was just something that we did.
That's pretty cool though,
Yeah,
especially at that age
yeah,
as a teenager, because
yep.
we can be jerks as teenagers.
We sure can.
And
We can
then
be
like,
jerks at any age, but
no, I
especially
know,
then.
but I mean, like, it's more prominent as a teenager, whereas like as you get older, you know how to be snarky as you're being a jerk. But no, but seriously, like to get teenagers to go around and think, but it's also the fact that you probably could do that with a sports team as well, because you build
Oh
a
yeah.
camaraderie with
Hmm.
with your peers.
Right.
It probably would be harder in a classroom setting because you probably have like 3 people that know each other, 4 people that know each
Hmm.
other, and you're not going to get that. But
And
in
and
a
I think that in a classroom, the end goal isn't the same as the end goal of
exactly
making music or playing
right,
sports, or I'm sure you know, like acting troops and stuff like that have that
right.
same, you know,
I
bond.
remember, I remember when I was a freshman in high school, and like last minute, 2 weeks before the show, the musical was going to go on. 2 of the main, well, like supporting main leads dropped out, and I was asked, and a friend of mine was asked to take over because we were the understudies. So I had
Mhm.
to learn all the material, all the songs, all whatever choreography that of little what was there. We did so well as a group in the it was a musical, it was a play within a musical, it was, Taming of the Shrew, the musical. And so it was a acting troupe in the musical performing Taming of the Shrew. So we had to learn Shakespeare as well because that's what that is. And we went to Hofstra for a Shakespeare competition, and we took the serious part of, well, somewhat serious part of Taming of the Shrew, and we performed it as a troupe, and we won best ensemble. And I
Mhm.
remember like prior to it, we all kind of like bonded and got together. And then after it, we all kind of like thanked each other because it was just, we did it. We had fun. There wasn't any question of like whether we were going to win or not. It was just more of the fact that we were able to do it.
Mhm.
And then we won best ensemble, which kind of like it hits home a little bit. No
Yep.
one was singles out. It was like everybody worked well together.
Mhm.
And I was on stage for like less than a 5 seconds, but it was
Yeah.
just that it was just all that. So it's true. It's
Mhm.
everything. It's the music groups, it's the sports teams, the actors. I even think, you have in corporate, you have these groups that are working on a project.
Mhm.
At the end of that project, sit down, whether it's 5
Yep.
people or 10 people, and you just thank each other because everybody had a role in that project. Well, you hope everybody did their thing, but everybody had a role in that project.
Right.
And I try to do it at work. There are times when we do things together, and I make sure that I thank everybody that has done. It could be as simple as, here's the copies that you need to hand out,
Mhm.
thank you
Right.
for giving me those copies, like
Mhm.
that type of thing.
Yep.
It's I don't thank my car.
I just started, so
Oh,
I did thank my last car though, but after the accident for keeping me
oh,
safe.
makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I just talk to my car. I get mad at it when it does silly things, but I know it's not it. It's probably me. So
Why did you run through that stop sign, stupid
it's like,
car?
why did you drive me to 7-Eleven to pick up a Slurpee and a donut? No, it wasn't me. It was you. You did it. We're
Uh,
not sponsored by 7-Eleven.
we don't have 7-Eleven out here.
Really?
We have
Oh, that's
Speedway.
right. What?
Speedway, same company, but
Yeah, that's true. That all being said, so they started thanking each other, hugging and all that stuff, whatever. And then Michael had everybody kind of close their eyes and start thanking themselves and start putting that thanking, that energy inside of them. And in the previous book, it's very similar to that meditation that Michael had Victor do, where
yes.
he kind of built an aura, a glow
Hmm.
inside of him. And in this whole process, as they were thanking, Victor felt this change, and Michael's like, make it bigger. And then he
Hmm.
said, can you split it off? And he helped him kind of split it off, and he gave that energy, that thanks to Seiko and Ali, and there was one other one I believe as well, because I think did it three. He did it for three people.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the other one was Uncle Clyde.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
That sounds right.
and that is something that, and then they sat on that for like a good amount of time to kind of take in that energy,
Mhm.
take it in, and then Victor, who has a tendency to open up his eyes whenever he's doing anything like this, he opens up his eyes and he says like the room was surrounded by this yellowish glow, as when he did it in the previous book where it was just
Mhm.
himself and Michael. But what I think is very interesting is he hears a melody, and he hears a melody that sounds like Uncle Clyde playing the harmonica
Mhm.
throughout this whole entire process, right? And then there is a line that he says, where is it? Michael begins to whisper, it's time to begin. We must keep our eyes open even when they are closed." Right? "My young pupils, you do not fully understand what is going on, and there is no time to fully explain. But understand this: if music is in danger, we are all in danger. It is a threat to everybody." And then he goes further to say, "Music brought us together, and we will act together. We have to stay linked to succeed. We will not." He paused, took a breath. "We cannot always physically be together, but through music, we will be united. We can recall this feeling. We must recall this feeling. You know when the time is right. Isis, Clyde, do you have anything to add?" Right? And after that, they all asked who was playing the music, because Victor opened his eyes and noticed that Clyde's eyes were closed and his hands
Mhm.
were to his side. He didn't have a
Yep.
harmonica in his hand.
And at the very
And
beginning of all of this, when Victor was trying to do this, he was struggling, and Isis whispered in his
oh, that's right.
ear,
Yes, yes, I forgot to say that. Yeah.
and he opened his eyes, and she was 6 feet across the room, not
Right.
nowhere near him.
Right. Because she touched him with a feather on the
Yep.
top of his
Yep.
forehead. Yeah. So everything was all is all um and I'm wondering because Uncle Clyde doesn't say anything. So I'm wondering in a sense if it's stating that Uncle Clyde was performing internally. And
Maybe.
because they were united, just like Isis was able to whisper in his ear
Mhm.
and touch him with a feather, that he was performing the music internally and spreading that to everybody else.
Right.
So I think that's very interesting. And Ali also noticed this as well. Ali was
Mhm.
like, I thought he was playing and
Yep.
he wasn't. And
And
then
I
at
will
that,
say this is an important part of the book to remember because it does come back later on in the
yes,
book.
yes,
So
yes.
do remember this part for later on.
And we'll remind you. And then
I'll
we'll remind you
forget.
to go, and then we'll remind you to come back to this episode to listen to it again.
Yep.
And there'll be this vicious cycle of you listening to both episodes. Yes, it is. It's a very important part of what happens moving forward. And just to give you the cliffhanger into next week's episode, unless you have more to add before I read the
Mm-mm.
ending.
No, go for it.
As they all kind of were like, "Oh, I thought Uncle Clyde was playing music." Just then the front door opened. We all turned to look. It was Jonathan. I was happy to see him, but I didn't like what he had to say. "Michael, get ready. They're here." Dum dum
Dun
dum.
dun dun.
Dum dum. It's interesting how this chapter is so weird because they start off in this mentality of fighting,
Mm-hmm.
but they really never pursue it.
Right.
And the way they want to fight, which is what Sifu was kind of showing, is that you don't want to fight.
Right.
You want to stay calm, and
That's
you,
typical of a martial art, really.
which
If
is
you.
true, and but it should be that way. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
should never go into a situation expecting a fight. You should
Right.
be in a situation expecting to, lack for a better word, de-escalate whatever you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm sure you do a lot of de-escalation in your job.
Yep. Usually myself. I'm de-escalating myself.
I have a mirror by my desk. "You need to come down off that ledge. You need to come down off that ledge."
Put down the knife. Put down the
Down
knife.
But how am I going to cut my sandwich? No, uh, Jake and the Fat Man. Uh, and it's weird because we're like more than halfway in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Things are about to get funky.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can tell you exactly how far we are.
Yeah, because you probably have the percentage, right?
I hope so.
The next chapter is a big chapter.
55% complete.
Yeah, we're just a little over halfway. Next chapter is a big chapter. Yeah. It's a lot of craziness.
Time signature.
Yes. So,
So,
a needle pulling thread.
La.
A note to follow. So, tea sounds delicious right now, and I want to make some. That being said, I bought a Govee teapot
Oh, did you?
that I can set up on my phone and have the water in there, and I can have it set to start at a certain time. I could choose a specific temperature.
Nice.
So I'm going to try it out this weekend because I don't want to just do it and walk away. Like I want to see if it actually works. But it was
Does
really
it light
funny
up as
because,
well?
huh?
Does it light up as well?
I don't know. I have to look. Yeah. I also bought
Isn't it
myself
the
a
same
small
company that
fire
does your
pit.
lights?
No,
Oh, I thought Govee did your lights.
no, they do. They do the lights. It all connects to the same network.
Right, so it's the same company.
Yeah, but there's no lights on it like LEDs.
Well, I asked you if it was the same company as your lights. You don't
Oh,
know.
oh, I thought you said, are there lights on it?
Well, I did. I said, does it? Because it's the same. It's a light.
It's
They
the
make
same
lights.
company as a light, but there's no LEDs on the actual
Got it. Okay.
That's what it was. Yeah. So
I didn't realize they made anything other than lights. So,
they make a lot of stuff.
well,
Yeah.
now I know.
Pretty interesting. So, but we're not sponsored by Jovi or Govee or however it's pronounced. So if you're listening and you work for them, please, we'd be happy to shed a little light, as they say,
Yes.
or tea. Every Friday and Sunday, we go live. Kyle goes live on Fridays at 8 o'clock. We go live 7:30 on Sundays. So you're listening to this, check us out. We also want to thank you for joining us on this journey every week. We thank everybody who's taken the time to listen, to download. As you know, they come out every Tuesday, and a few weeks later, they are out on the YouTube. So check out them if you'd like to see us in person, in a sense. We also have some bloopers that happen, which Kyle does upload on Fridays. So those are our YouTube shorts. So check out our YouTube channel. Then all the other social networks are set in our closing, and we have a nice little link that Kyle puts together in our show notes. And just want to thank everybody, and I want to thank Kyle because Kyle does a lot of work on this. He edits and I know that he's kind of got it down, so it doesn't take him too long, but I know there's a process to it. So a thanks to Kyle for the time that he puts in to make sure that these podcasts are ready to go, the videos are uploaded. He has a little bit more time than I do, not a lot. I'm not saying he's freer than I am, but he has a little extra time that he's able to make this happen. And I am always willing to help, but he is always getting it done and taking care of it. So thank you, Kyle.
And thank you for doing this because if it were just me, it'd be very boring.
No.
Yes, it would.
Yes, it would. No,
For sure.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you all so much. We'll see you next time.